Today, we're diving into something every contractor hopes they'll never need, but absolutely must understand. FIDIT's Clause 16. Think of it as your ultimate recourse. It's the part of the contract that gives you, the contractor, the power to hit the brakes or even walk away when the employer isn't holding up their end of the bargain. This is a high-stakes clause, so let's break down how it works.
So let's paint a picture. You're deep into a project. Your crew is working flat out. The materials are flowing in, but the money isn't. The payments slow down, and then they just stop. It is the absolute nightmare scenario for any construction company. So what can you actually do? Do you just have to wait and hope?
Well, no, you don't. The good news is you're not powerless. Your contract is your playbook. Contracts like FIDIC are built for these exact worst-case scenarios. They lay out a very clear path, giving you powerful, legally defined rights to protect your business.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. We'll look at the core rights you get under Clause 16. Then we'll walk through the two big moves you can make. First, suspension, which is like a warning shot, and then termination, the point of no return. After that, we'll cover the cleanup, what happens right after, and boil it all down into some key takeaways for you guys in the field.
All right, let's get right into it. Think of Clause 16 as your contractual toolkit when things go south with the employer. It's not just one big red button. It actually has two main tools, each designed for a different level of problem, a different level of severity.
And here are those two tools. On one hand, you've got suspension. This is like hitting the pause button. It's a serious move, a warning shot across the bow to get the employer to fix the problem. Then you have termination. That's the eject button. You're not pausing, you're ending the contract, for good. It is the point of no return.
Let's look at that first tool, suspension, which is all covered in subclause 16.1. This is your first line of defense, really. It lets you legally stop work or even just slow it down to put some serious commercial pressure on the employer to pay up or fix whatever they've done wrong, all without blowing up the entire project.
But, and this is crucial, you can't just down tools and walk off. The contract is crystal clear. You have to give the employer a formal notice of at least 21 days before you can suspend. This isn't optional. It's a mandatory period that gives them a chance to make things right. The process has to be followed to the letter. First, you need legitimate grounds, right? Like not getting paid. Second, you issue that formal 21-day notice, and you have to specifically mention subclause 16.1. If they still don't fix the issue after 21 days, then you can suspend or slow down. And here's the kicker. You are entitled to claim for an extension of time and for your costs plus profit for the disruption.
Let's see how this plays out in the real world. The engineer is supposed to issue your payment certificate. Let's say they don't do it on time. Now, even though it's the engineer who dropped the ball, that failure gives you, the contractor, the right to take action against the employer for the non-payment that results. It just goes to show you how all these roles are connected.
Okay, but what happens if you suspend work and it still doesn't fix the problem? Or what if the employer's breach is just so fundamental that pausing isn't going to cut it? Well, that's when you have to consider the final step, termination, under subclause 16.2. This really is the contractual nuclear option.
You can't just terminate for any old reason. The grounds are very specific and very serious. And look at the notice types. For something huge, like the employer going bankrupt or engaging in fraud, you can terminate immediately. But for other things, like a failure to pay, you first have to give them a 14-day notice to fix the problem. It's their last chance.
This 14-day window is absolutely critical. It's the employer's final warning. You issue the notice, the clock starts ticking. If they don't fix the breach in those 14 days, then and only then do you get the right to issue your final notice and terminate the contract on the spot.
So, you've done it. The termination notice is sent, the contract is officially over. Now what? Subclauses 16.3 and 16.4 tell us exactly what happens next. It's all about two things, making a clean, safe exit from the site, and most importantly, making sure you get paid.
Okay, first up, your responsibility is under 16.3. You have to stop all work right away. The only exception is if the engineer tells you to do something specific to make the site safe. Then you hand over any documents or materials that the employer has already paid for. Finally, you pack up all your other gear and you leave the site.
Now for the employer's side of the deal, and this is where Clause 16 really shows its teeth. The employer has to give you back your performance security. They must pay you for all the work you've already done. And this is the big one. They have to pay you for any loss of profit and any other damages you've suffered because of their breach.
Right, we've been through a lot of detail. Let's boil it all down.
If you're out there on site as an engineer, a PM, or a contractor, what are the absolute must-know, can't-forget takeaways from all this?
Takeaway number 1, and I cannot say this loudly enough, documentation is everything. You can't just pick up the phone. Every single step requires a formal, written notice. And in that notice, you absolutely must state which subclause you're acting under. If you get that wrong, your whole claim could fall apart. Keep records of every email, every conversation, everything.
Second, you have got to know your timelines. Burn these numbers into your brain. 21 days notice for suspension, 14 days notice to remedy before termination. These are not guidelines, they are hard and fast contractual deadlines. If you miss one, you could lose your rights. So put them in your calendar, set reminders, do whatever you have to do.
And finally, my third takeaway, think strategically. Suspension is a tool you use when you want to get the project back on track. You're trying to fix the relationship. Termination is what you do when the relationship is broken beyond repair. They have huge, different consequences. So before you act, understand which game you're playing and choose wisely.
At the end of the day, Clause 16 is your safety net. It's woven right into the contract to protect you when things go seriously wrong. But a safety net is useless if you don't know how to deploy it when you're falling. So the only question left is your net ready?